Last week on July 3rd, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol released a video showing us how awesome things are at those migrant detention facilities. The video featured Tucson Sector Chief Roy Villarreal, and he showed us just, hey, things are pretty awesome here. And in an attempt to own AOC and all of the other lawmakers who visited the detention facilities recently, the man actually drank from the toilet. Here's a clip.
This is a supply room that is typical in every one of the stations in Tucson sector. What we have supplies of are diapers, baby wipes, clothing for children marked by gender, age, clothing for men and women. We've got supplies. These are feminine hygiene products that are readily available for any of the detainees. Now come with me as we go into one of our detention cells. What's here in front of me is a supply cart that is available to families and unaccompanied children. What it includes: baby formula, crackers, raisins, tuna fish, Mylar blanket. Here's one of the other aspects. There's a lot of misinformation that we're not allowing people to brush their teeth. This is a toothbrush that is preloaded with toothpaste, and it's provided to everyone and readily available should they want more than one. Now let's look at the biggest misinformation inside. Come into the cell with me. Aliens are not forced to drink out of the toilet. Aliens have options. There's fresh water that's provided on a regular basis in a water cooler. There's also water that is provided in this is a combination of toilet and sink, and the sink provides fresh water. The wall is marked as agua potable, which is potable water. There's nothing wrong with this water. We're not forcing aliens to drink out of the toilet.
Okay, so obviously the man doesn't actually dip the cup into the toilet itself and take a big chug. He uses the little water fountain on the back of the toilet. That's not actually toilet water, obviously, right? And here's the thing, Republicans have been using this water fountain on the back of the toilet argument for a couple weeks now to say that AOC's lying. All these other folks are lying. Joaquin Castro was actually the first one to say they were drinking from the toilets. He's lying. It's a water fountain on the back of the toilet, except that when these people were there, the women told them how the water fountain on the back of the toilet wasn't working, and so they were told to go drink just from the toilet. And in fact, I believe it was Ayanna Pressley actually attempted to see if the water fountains were working, tried to get them to turn on, and they wouldn't. So they were correct. AOC, Joaquin Castro, Pressley, all those other folks, they were right about drinking from the damn toilet. But here comes this big buff Border Patrol agent, says, look at this, I'm gonna get some water out the toilet to own you libs. How you like that? Now here's the other thing about this video. This was 100% staged, right? We can all agree on that. We're not idiots. First, they got all those people's faces blurred in the background because those are the migrants. He walks through this door. Obviously, this is not an actual detention area where he is showing us around. And the first thing we see, oh my God, this nice little beautiful, pristine, all laid out perfectly, little snack table. Look at this. We got some tuna fish. We got some crackers. Well, that's great if you're having a backyard barbecue for 15 people. But the paltry little supplies on that table you're showing us that was obviously set up shortly before the video was filmed and only for the purposes of the video, that's not enough to even feed all the migrants that we saw the faces blurred out of, let alone the other hundreds in your facility. That tiny ass supply room, oh, you've got 20 t-shirts there for the men, 18 tampons for the women. Oh yeah, that's totally enough. That supply room was smaller than the room I am sitting in right now, and it's supposed to provide these provisions for hundreds of people. Pre-moistened toothbrushes for hundreds of people. You had like 6 on the table, you idiot. This was a staged video and it proves nothing. In fact, it actually helps prove how horrible things are. Because they wouldn't have to stage it. They wouldn't have to pop up these little Potemkin village situations if things were that great. Oh, look, we got a cooler in the cell too so they can get some water if the toilet water is not good enough for them. That's bull. That is bull crap. I guarantee you the second that camera stopped rolling, that cooler left that little holding cell. And let's also not forget that this was in Tucson. Whereas most of the horrible facilities, the worst facilities, are actually in Texas. So they couldn't go to Texas to film this little stunt. They had to go to a different one that maybe was a little bit cleaner. Maybe they do have working toilet water fountains. But this is not the reality that most of those migrants are down there facing. We know that. We have seen the photographs from the Inspector General's report. Those aren't fake. We know what is going on. But the federal government doing what they do best under Donald Trump, sitting there lying to our faces, even though we have plenty of photographic and credible witness proof that the exact opposite is what's actually taking place. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.